this holidays because all work and no play makes Symbio Jack dull. Okay, so it's important to take time as much as you want to play. You have to take time, and or rather, as much as you want to work, take time to play. All right, just be moderate. Welcome to Spotlight on Super FM. I played a bit too hard yesterday, and now I'm paying for it. But that gives us a cue about what we're talking about this morning. Well, can you blame me? It's Christmas. I worked, and after work, I just ate and I overate. So we're gonna look at food safety, ensuring food safety during the festive season. That's what we're looking at this morning. Thursdays usually we'll have our health, just try to touch on some health topics. But in line with the season, ensuring food safety during like I said, the season in Nigeria requires attention to proper handling, storage, preparation of food. And our analysts, two of them on the program, will be providing some tips and guidelines, solutions to some already existing food crises, and how you can help prevent foodborne illnesses and ensure a safe and enjoyable festive season. First, we're going to have Inem Ukong, who is a health educator and food safety officer. Good morning to you.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. But now I know about health educator, but then food safety officer. That's actually like no, we're just used to hearing lawyers, doctors, engineers. Well, I haven't really heard about food safety officers. Is it a big market in the job in the labor market? Is it big?
Yes,
Is it in demand?
It is. It is in high demand. It is in demand.
Oh, okay. So how does one become a food safety officer?
Okay, for you to really, you need to have maybe a science-based background, and also for you to be licensed. For you to be an auditor, you need to do some training. There's something called SMS, Food Safety Management System Training. So, and there's a bigger one called FSSA, Food Safety System Certification. That will make you an auditor. That means you can go to big firms to audit and be sure that their procedures are in sync with international standards.
Okay.
Like anybody in the production line that makes anything that goes into the mouth, anything that is edible.
So that's the job, and like it's in demand.
Yeah, it is in demand.
All right. So our next guest, who joins us via phone, is Adibukola Ayodele.
Yeah,
yes, she is a food safety system certification auditor. That's good to have you, Bukola. Good to have you on the program.
Good morning, Kimberly. Good morning, Inem.
Yeah,
nice to have you here.
Inem is excited to have you here.
Yeah.
So yes, we're going to have the conversation. So today we're looking at ensuring food safety during the festive period. I can't say that enough. All right. Let me start with you in the studio, Inem.
Yeah.
Food safety. What's that about? An
Okay.
overview.
So I'll just put it in the most basic form. I would say food safety is really, I'm producing food. I give you the assurance that this food I'm producing, that when you eat it, it will have no adverse effect in you if you eat it as instructed, as intended to be. So that is just it. So if you eat the food I produce and in the end there is no adverse effects, you're not having diarrhea, you're not having any of the health issues, that food was safe.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's food safety.
Exactly.
So what are the most common foodborne illnesses? We hear of waterborne diseases and illnesses. So what are the common foodborne illnesses that come up?
Okay. There's a particular one that the constitutive agents may differ. Some there is one from E. coli. Yeah, that is really a common one, but most of them will see. Most of the ones that you see will say have similar symptoms. You have someone having to have vomiting, someone having to have loose stool, having to have nausea, having to have cramps. In the end, the person will dehydrate. And some maybe from vibro cholera. I mean, that is the actual cholera. You can as well get that from eating food that is not that's not wholesome enough.
Oh, yeah. When you say wholesome, like balanced diet?
No, wholesome that is not is not in its best state. It is not good. That's
Okay.
also, I mean, yeah, it has some pathogenic something inside, or it has some spoilage microbes or pathogens inside. That means it's not wholesome.
Okay. So I heard about pathogens. What are the
Mm.
most common foodborne pathogens
Okay,
that can contaminate, especially during the festive
during the
season? Yes.
festive.
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. Salmonella can, and like the one I mentioned before, E. coli. Yeah, so I want those two are really, really, really common, and most of these things may be gotten through unhygienic procedures, and most of them are gotten through the fecal oral route. That means indirectly someone's excrement has entered what you're eating. It will not be consciously. It might be the person did not wash their hands very well while producing the food, or the person had washed his hands very well and was produced in a poor environment, and flies had perched in some other person's excrement nearby, that the environment wasn't properly clean, and the fly perch there come back to perch on the food, and that will lead to the person having
All right.
foodborne.
Bukola, please, can you help us reduce the noise in your background? It's really noisy on your end.
Okay, so
Hello, Bukola. Can you help us reduce the noise, please?
All right. So they're still on the noise now.
Okay. Can you hear me? Are we clear?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, so I asked about food safety, and I think he has talked about it, but I would like to hear your definition of food safety. First of all, an overview. Yeah.
Okay, food safety, just as I said, is basically ensuring that whatever is going into your system is safe and healthy. So, not just what's the end product now, but the process of preparation should be safe and healthy for human consumption, not just human now this time around. Even our animals, our pets, are also included in this scheme of food safety, because
Okay.
in one way or the other, we now find humans feeding on animal feed. It's a country anyway. So food safety generally is a scheme that covers everything that deals with food, the cooking, even procuring, from the
Okay,
point
it's
of
breaking. Is it
procuring.
just me, or it's actually really breaking? All
maybe you
right, let
should
me try to
reconnect.
reconnect with
Uh,
you. So, in what are the most common unsafe practice when it comes to food in our society?
Okay, so just as Bukola was saying, it is the entire food production process. It is a chain, from planting, which most time we don't have control over. So the whole chain there, from planting, from purchasing, and so everything, every of them have a potential risk that could be an unsafe practice. Okay. So now from the planting now, it could be you using, those people not using a higher dose of pesticide to try to control pests. So that alone is a problem. Purchasing, and the person going to purchase is more conscious of the money, and he or she end up buying. He has seen tomato that are plumb and fine. She will leave that one. She go to the cheaper one in might to pick those ones from the floor. So picking that one has its own inherent risk in it. Okay, so I'm done with purchasing now.
Yeah,
Transporting, you want to transport this, you transport tomato food items with sniper, with other things that are not edible. That alone could predispose,
contaminated.
cross contaminate that. You're done transporting, you take it back to your house and storage. You had gotten ready fruit, vegetables, meat, and other things. You mix them together. So vegetables and meat, fishes, they're supposed on to chicken itself, they are really high in salmonella. I mean, it's already there. So salmonella is already a very high pathogen for foodborne illnesses. So cross-contaminating them while storing it is. So now the actual production process now, the person producing the food now, let's say the chef or the kitchen assistant or anybody at home, let's say the mom now, or the house help,
Okay.
if she herself is, let's say she's sick, or she's a carrier of any of these pathogen and she doesn't even know, let's say she was sick and she recovered but she still have the pathogen, she went to the toilet, she did not wash her hands very well, parts of those pathogens eat in her hands if she did not wash her hands with soap. So she will now come back to prepare, let's say, salad. Somebody now eat that salad. it's been given to the
But
person.
I thought there is this narrative that heat kills whatever kind of bacteria and
A particular level of heat. Heat is really a very important factor here. So heat can help sort all of this. Most of this, most of the
okay.
biological ones, not the chemical and the allergens. Okay, so now heat will help, but if the person did a ready to eat food like salad, heat will not come into play that. Or if the person did the sandwich, heat will not come to play. So poor hygiene, using wrong tools. Let's say the cutting board that you use in cutting beef, and you use it to still make salad without washing it very well, and you're not supposed to even use that. We're supposed to have a separate one for cutting of vegetables and salad. You have a different one to make sandwich, and a
Yeah.
different one to make other things. So if you
Yeah.
cross if you cross them each
Contaminant
other, it will cause cross contamination. It will pick pathogens from here and
and
drop
put
there,
it
and the
in.
person will just eat it and do. So another one will be temperature abuse, like as you said. Some food are supposed most food must be hot. All the food must be hot. If it's a hot holding food, you must keep them hot, not warm. Pathogens love microbes in itself like warm environment. Somewhere around the room temperature, but if you heat the food above 75 degrees centigrade,
Mm.
most of the pathogen will die.
All right,
Okay.
Bukola, you're actually on air right now. Can you hear me? I've been trying to reconnect with Bukola. Can you hear me? Okay, so he was going over the food safety. I was asking about some common practice in our society that threatens food safety, for lack of a better term. But what are some of the practices you see that you're uncomfortable with and you think would need some awareness?
Okay, food preservation is one of major concern. I mean, not just the not just the finished product now, not the cooking, but the preservation of the raw materials. Some go as far as there was a time that people were going as far as using chemicals that are not healthy, that has not been approved by NAFDAC to make sure that food preserve to preserve food generally, which is very very not safe at all, because at the end of it all, you won't be able to, if you don't take the necessary measures, you won't get rid of those chemicals, and it will also lead to bioaccumulation or immediate effects after consumption. So that's one. And another one too is handling. I think handling, some of us don't really know how well to handle products, food generally, because we don't avoid cross contamination. There are some foods that, so we still have to eat them, but we have to avoid cross contamination. We have to avoid cross contamination to be sure that even if it's safe for you, it's also safe for the next person, that's your neighbor. So some just merge everything up in a place and not properly identifying or even identifying the allergens that are present in those food. So that's one thing too. And we are not taking product description, food description generally serious in our country. We don't take food descriptions serious. Some have even they would have even consumed the food before going through the labels, going through all production date and expiry date. Some people even know the difference between expiry and best before. And there's some products that are supposed to be out of shelf when it's close to deterioration, but no, it's just there. So we don't take product description serious. Some don't even identify. So I think we need to enlighten people to be able to know the importance of descriptions on labels of on products, so
Okay.
that it will save us from emergencies, to save us from knowing what we are supposed to eat and what we're not supposed to eat. And even when we are eating what we're not supposed to eat, it helps us to get to the clinic or wherever to be able to say, oh, this is what I have eaten. What I have eaten contains this and that.
Okay.
That.
All right then. So, I was gonna ask about the level of awareness as regards food safety, how you would rate it. But before that, now in line with the festive season, what are some concerns that you guys have about how festive or party rice, party jollof, party food is prepared and handled? During Christmas and New Year and whatnot. So let's start with Inam.
Okay. So my first concern would be time and temperature control. Time. Let's say most of this food you're expecting your guests to come in at a particular time, and you don't want to be so busy. I'm talking about the house perspective now. I'll still talk about the catering perspective. So you don't want your guests to come over and you've made this food down too early in the day.
Okay.
Yeah, and you don't have any means of keeping this food in the within the recommended temperature range. So when your guests just arrive, you just welcome and I'm going to dish the food and give them, and the food had already entered temperature danger zone. It has left it's colder than 65 degrees centigrade. That alone, this is a big problem. As I said before, pathogen grows between this range, room temperature and temperature less than 65 degrees centigrade. It's either you keep them colder than 5 degrees centigrade or you keep them hotter than 65 degrees centigrade. So it must be really hot or really cold. So you keep them cold after you now heat them up to the recommended temperature. So you shouldn't keep them at room temperature for more than 2 hours. Okay. So that's one. Cover how you even preserve the food. So you don't even cover the food. You just leave them. Maybe your house may not be very cool. The environment, flies will just still come page. Dust will just patch on the food. It is a problem as well. And also you may have some guests that they just come in and you didn't. Maybe some mention that, oh, I don't eat this particular food. I have allergy to this. Most of us in Nigeria, we don't believe in allergy. All of us, we eat anything. So you just produce this food, not considering what they cannot tolerate or what they're allergic to. You just, and they come eat there, they may not have a problem. Even when you were considering them, you now see use the same facility cutting board, you were cutting this into to chop things that they don't eat. It can still cross-contaminate and still affect them. Yeah.
So how about the use of firewood? Because a lot of people still use firewood, especially at a time like this where the price of gas is at an all-time high. If you want to make party rice for a lot of people, like let's say you're from a large family, a lot of people still put the firewood outside, especially when they live alone in a compound, or even take permission from neighbors. So is that a safe practice when it comes to preparing food during the festive season? The ash from the wood, does it enter the food and cause something?
I would say it is a safe practice if you do it cautiously. Safe. The ash will not really get into the food if you cover them very well. What people really need is the aroma of the smoke.
Firewood.
Of the
really?
firewood.
Does it has its own aroma?
It does. I mean, it really does. It tastes different. Someone will tell you that this was cooked with firewood, this was cooked with stove or something.
Gas.
So, but my major concern will be the environmental impact of it. By doing that, you increase the carbon footprint, like you're making the environment more clean. So now, but for it being safe, yes. But my only concern will be there's something called acrylamide. Some people want the party jollof to be really smoky. For it to be smoky, they have to really put some fire to consciously make it a bit burnt. So if it's a burnt food, may develop something not so good. That's a chemical that may become a chemical hazard in it. If you want it really, really smoky, burnt. So that is the acrylamide.
Smoky jollof.
Yeah. So that's the only thing.
And but do they burn soup? It's just the jollof that is intentionally smoky.
Exactly. Only the jollof must.
Yeah. Because people use it to cook all sorts of party food, amala and wedu, and all delicacies and all.
To the best of my knowledge, I wouldn't say there's any inherent negative effect of using firewood in cooking, apart from the environment.
What of outdoor cooking? Does it expose the food more?
Okay, outdoor cooking, exactly. Outdoor, it is a problem there because you cannot control the entire environment. Flies might be coming from there. Other vermins and vectors might get in contact with the food outdoor, exactly. So outdoor cooking isn't the best thing to do. But also to really be scientific, if in the end of it heat sorts most things. I'm not saying that someone should just abuse every other process and now say heat will kill it. No, because we may still do the salad outside, which is already wrong. So outdoor cooking is not recommended, but using firewood to cook in itself, to the best of my knowledge, doesn't have any inherent effect that will affect the safety of the food itself.
The food itself.
Exactly.
Okay. All right then. So let's hear from you, Adebukola.
Okay. Just like Inem said, cooking outside with firewood or smoky, tend to get that smoky effect of jollof rice or other food, really don't have any hazard to an extent. But we also have to consider what the safety part of it will be considering the safety of the individuals that are cooking, and which might not really be a big deal for on the food. And I think it's actually a nice way of ensuring that we are cutting good costs and we are still living healthy. So
Okay.
I think I agree with Inem on this.
All right. So staying with you, Bukola, there is this narrative, and I also want you to pull out some myth as regards food safety. But there's this narrative that in quotes, poison no they kill African man, or dirty no they kill African man. So it's like some would even say the dirtier the food, the more your immunity will be strong. That or you hear some people say that this child you too they clean the food for this child, or you give this child too much, be given that the child be strong. There are some things like that. But now, do you think that that's a major concern? How would you rate based on that now? How would you rate the level of food safety awareness in the country? And if you'd like to address some myths around it as well.
Yes. Oh, that's very. I think when the first time I was hearing of food safety, and I was with some of my colleagues, and one of them actually said this, made this statement that no poison, no they kill African man. That we are too, our skin is too rigid for this kind of allergy of this, allergy of that, allergy to this, allergy to that. So it's actually it's the fact is we're all allergic to one thing or the other. But the fact that we as Africans we think our immune system is better off than the others. We think whatever we eat. Well, I wouldn't dispute that our immune system is good to an extent, but we shouldn't because of that put our health into risk. Consuming what is bad or
Okay.
not healthy. Food safety includes, like I said earlier, it's not just about what you in the immediate cooking or the immediate effect as well. It also include long time effects, yeah, by accumulation of whatever you are eating. So if you're not having that effect or that supposed repercussion, then you should be preparing for something later in the future. So we shouldn't dispute the fact that we shouldn't do away with that. We should do away with that fact that the word that says that poison doesn't kill African man, or what if we eat nonsense, it should not. And I think it's because of lack of knowledge on what that is actually doing to our system. Sometimes some days ago I saw a man who was actually consuming a product because though he's a grown man, he's so grown that he's not saying that if his parents had known the kind of damage this product they fed him with has done to him now. He hopes that the same African parents will not be feeding with their children with such products anymore, because it's not just about now, because everybody wants to live healthy, everybody wants to live long, and everybody wants to live happy. So if you intend to live that long, healthy, and happy, then you should also do away with
Yeah.
those things that you really think might defer you from having those kind of lifestyles that you intend to have. It might not be now, just like allergies. Some persons are allergic to eggs, some persons are allergic to snails, some persons are allergic to no those things. There could be a chemical reaction that happens just immediately, but there are some that would just be accumulating.
Building
Oh,
up.
probably you have a good immune system too
Okay.
that would help you suppress those effects immediately. But still, that doesn't mean that your body is not reacting to those things. So I think we should encourage people to read, like I said earlier, descriptions
Yeah, but what if I can't
on
read and
products.
I want to be safe?
You said what?
What if I can't read? What if I didn't go to school enough to know how to read? Oh,
Okay. So then, I think there should be, you should be able to ask questions on, okay, this thing I want to eat, so how it go affect my body? If I go, like, what are the benefits? So just like somebody too was saying that, oh, we all say turmeric is good, turmeric is healthy, turmeric is this product is that. But now people are even drawing our attention to it and saying that, oh, it's actually good, though, but do you know that there's a limit to what you can eat for you to say, okay, this thing is safe for me to eat. There's a limit to it. So we should not be too extreme, I think
Mm.
another thing is we like to like, oh, this thing you say is good for this. Okay, that's where I'm going now, and
Mm.
that's what you continue to like
All
keep
right.
feeding ourselves with. And at the
Okay.
end, it's
Yeah.
not just it's not just
All right. Yeah. All
safe
right
for you.
then. Yeah. Bukola, thank you. Okay. So, someone sent a message that he's just tuning in. Well, this is Spotlights on Super FM, and it's we're looking at ensuring food safety during the festive season. We're just going over some major guidelines to help prevent foodborne illnesses. Because right now everybody's outside with their party pots and spoons and cooking, and the ones that didn't cook is just going to friends' houses to eat. Just to make sure. Like in them when I opened up, I said, although I didn't go to a friend's house, I was just. But then I made sure I had enough to eat. You
Yeah.
understand? Because it's Christmas. You get. So now I want you to also talk about that as well in but now I want you to also add, is there anything like too clean? Because as much as sometimes you want to apply safety, we hear sometimes people talk about overcooking the food and it's losing its nutrients or some essential. Okay, I know someone that would when she's preparing, she would wash it like how many times she would, overboil for like, let's say if she's boiling yam, she use like 3 hours to boil the yam. If I'm not exaggerating, I don't know, but it takes a
Like
long
longer
time.
time.
Yeah. So like just follow up on that one.
Yeah. Okay. So I wouldn't say that some being too clean will not be a problem like overwashing, washing. But my concern would now be you can do all of that and the food might not still be clean enough, may not be wholesome enough for consumption. Let's assume that she was washing lettuce or some fruit and veggies for salad or something. What is the source of her water? How did she wash it? What was the container that she used? She might spend 2 hours, 3 hours washing that, and someone might say have food poisoning from it. So the source of water, she may not be in control. Is the borehole and the soakaway proximity, are they too close? Are they communicating? Because that may still be you having someone's excrement indirectly. The excrement from the soakaway will be seeping into the source of borehole. So, but if it's been treated, that could be sorted. Those coliforms will not enter. But if it wasn't properly treated, which is like most houses in Lagos, poor planning, that took the soakaway and this, and some of the soakaway is even higher. The water,
Is down.
okay. So now, if she used something to sterilize that, that could be fine. So over cleaning won't be an issue, but doing it properly. So now cooking. Yeah, there's some food that should not. I'm not a nutritionist, but there's some food that most protein, if you overcook them, they may denature. Like that's people from different parts of the world. Like people from this part of the world, this part of Nigeria, they wouldn't want to boil their fish or something before using it to cook. People from
Just
some
put
other
it inside.
yes,
Okay.
but and that may be like a culture shock to some people.
Is that safe?
It is safe. Because personally, from my part of the world, we don't do it that way. So the first time I'm like, wow. And people from that side too, they would. But in the end, they're preventing the protein from being overcooked. As long as they now cook the fish to 75 degrees centigrade, whatever pathogen that was there is dead. And the food is cooked already, because seafood comes with a whole lot of salmonella and other things that, any mistake, you're already having food poisoning, serious one. So,
Oh yeah, I ate a lot of seafood yesterday.
oh dear, that is the
So maybe
that's
that's
a exactly.
contributing.
It is. Seafood is quite delicate. Even when you're doing prawns, lobsters, you must be very careful. And even as I said, temperature controls too. Even when it's being, before you want to marinate them and you must put them back in the fridge, or else any abuse in temperature, you are having issues with them. So seafood, you must really be careful while handling them.
Okay, so I guess that answers it. It's just okay. So in a nutshell, you're saying do it in moderation. Don't over clean your food. Don't over. But I thought there's another narrative out there
cleaning
where
the food will not be too. You may not be able to over clean food. You need to clean it, but overcooking, there might be a problem with overcooking. But clean it very well. But my concern was you can stay so long there, but you may not be effective enough because of how you did the process. But for overcooking, there is an inherent, even you hear them give you temperature for, they say cook this food to this temperature. If you overcook it, there may be a problem. Some may even dry out and may not be so nice. Nutrients will die. If it dry out too, it might become something bad. Like I mentioned, the case of acrylamide in overcooked or burnt food is not good as well. That becomes a chemical hazard in food. So overcooking, no problem. But washing it, you may not be able to over clean the food. You may not, cleaning is really really important.
Okay. All right then. So Bukola, you want to add to that?
Yes. Just to add a little, if you're overcooking, like Iman said, it's not doesn't really mean that you have actually done well, or the problem that is how soon are you eating that food, and how good are you going to store that food before eating it. That I think that should be considered too when you're thinking about cooking. And I also want to mention the thing is, it's called good manufacturing. Sorry, good hygiene practice. Good hygiene practice. In good hygiene practice, you should be sure that you're using the right utensils. Well, the one that you're using for your vegetables should not be the one you're using for your protein, because they're not going into the temperature. They're not going in for cooking at the same time, and because of that, you will not want to denature your vegetable just because you're trying to make sure that you cook well, and your meat too. You will not want to undercook it because you don't want it to be so tender before eating.
Yeah.
So those things you have to consider. That you can't really say, oh, I have cleaned this well, because you were not even there in the whole process of planting, and so you can't really say, oh, I am going to clean it well.
Okay.
But you should be able to say at this stage, at least I have done my best.
All right.
To say I have to do away with microorganisms, because like microorganisms is like the worst of all the hazards. Biological hazard is like the worst of all the hazards you can deal with in food safety. So you can be sure that I have do away with a lot of microorganisms. Save me from any food illness.
Yeah. All right then. So now, I mean, in Lagos, street food is very prominent. Is rampant. In fact, people don't cook at home. It's like, just go and you buy the food on the road.
Yeah.
So now, of course, that also adds to the concerns about food safety. Because I don't even need to be in you guys' field to know that when you're passing, you see that the dust coming into the food, and it's sold like that. And so I just want to get your comments on that. If you find that disturbing, and some ways that street food vendors can actually go around how they make the food and sell, because that's the most accessible way to eat the street food. So who's going first? Bukola, right?
Yes. Okay. Sorry, I'll probably share your this. Food safety.
She does it.
These women too, to an extent, especially this food that, especially the one you either roast or, let me go with that first.
Bolly.
So if you're going to get those things, these women too, they are aware that this food, when it goes cold, it's not that safe, because so many organisms thrive in cold food. So if you're going to if you're going to be buying from roasted food or roadside, you should be sure that the food is hot enough to do away with some of these microorganisms, because some of these microorganisms can't thrive on hot food because of the temperature. So if you have decided to be buying from them, please ensure that the food you're getting is hot. One. And if you're saying, madam, let's say okay, now akara or corn or this bolly, you should tell them to eat it off or warm it for you. And if it's food from cooler, if it's not smoking again, that to let you to tell you to an extent that this food is still very hot, then I think you should just deal with that food. And if you see that the food is getting to the bottom of the cooler, that means you're probably the last person, and so many persons, so many talking over the food and hasn't done. So I think it's just best for you to say, get from the next person. So I think in this period, if you're buying street food, or even after this period, please just make sure that the food is hot to
and just ask politely, because the vendor will just shout, say, your own too much, your wallet is too much. I should warm the food because of you.
No. I mean for the akara, or puff or donut from the roadside. If it's not coming out directly from the oil, like if you're not feeling that it's hot, don't try it, because I think there was someone that gave us an experience, that told us an experience of how she ate cold akara, and she landed in. She
The
was still
hospital.
even saying she used this. So when she started experiencing diarrhea and the rest, started spilling, and she started trying medication, self medication, to just prevent the whole trouble until she landed in the hospital, and it was there they were saying, if you had stayed or trying to like take care of yourself more
Okay.
of
All right.
preventing this, you probably have lost your life to it. So there's some mechanism that you can play with. The remedy, if you're not responding medical, if you're not taking medical um, medication immediately, you're probably just joking with your life. If you're
Okay.
not, they're just so sweet. They don't
All
wait
right.
till
Yeah.
some. They don't wait till later. They start acting immediately once they find that, oh, you are
Immediately.
in prey.
Yeah. All
That's
right.
it.
Okay. So now I want before I ask you about the alternatives now, because you've talked about some of the issues with food safety. So,
Mm.
I mean, in light of our reality, I would like to hear some alternatives. But before then, what's the most challenging issue you face in your practice as a food safety expert? What issues do you have with awareness? What issues do you have with compliance? How seriously do you know? Just talk about some issues you have.
That's me now, right?
Yeah, some
Okay, yeah.
challenges you
So
guys
before
face.
then, let me quickly add to Bukola's on. One of my concerns about street food is you see some woman selling food and she has a baby or a
And the baby
toddler.
will poo
I
inside. I heard a
mean,
story
and
like
she
that.
just
I heard a story like that.
it's everywhere.
Do
I'm
you know
coming. She
Ukpa?
possibly just washed the toddler's
Yeah,
bum.
yes.
Water is dripping from her.
And
From
she'll
her,
cook
she
like
go
that.
back there. What do you want to use the
They'll say
hat?
it's manure.
Take.
You know, I actually heard a story.
Mm.
I think it's a real. I don't know if you know Ukpa. That's
Yeah, I know. I
yellow.
know.
Although I
Yes.
don't eat it, but I hear of
Yeah. Yeah.
So somebody was sharing the story that they had gone to buy Ukpa, your
Yeah.
own compound. I think the woman makes it at home,
Yeah.
and okay, I think the woman didn't know that the person was there because
Mm.
it was quiet. I think kind of when everyone has gone out to hustle, and the baby was just on her thigh, so the baby was running stomach, and somehow part of the baby's fast forward the story anyway, part of the baby's poop fell
Got
inside.
it too.
This
Yeah.
one fell, not even washing hand. It fell inside the ukpa.
OMG.
And you know the story is that she now mixed it together, mixed the pupu plus the ukpa, and boiled it.
OMG. No, some people are
Boiled
that
it
gross.
like that.
Some people are really.
Because it's like maybe she used all the annoyance to now mix it.
I'll not lose this my market. She's just
Exactly.
thinking this is all I have to sell today.
So some people would say don't even buy from people that have toddlers or babies.
Personally, when I see
I
them,
don't think
on this-
anyone should be discriminated against.
yeah, they shouldn't. But I mean, when you're going to buy food, just check. I mean, I use all the organoleptic, like I use all my five
There's
senses.
a call here.
Okay.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning to you. You're sounding really faint. If you can please call back. So you were saying something before
Yeah, so I mean, one thing with this, use all your five senses: your eye, the smell, your ear, what, to just check for food safety. So like that, yeah, she should wash the baby's bum, or some other person should do. But after your wash hand is all complete until you dry the hands. She practically packed the baby's
Poop.
poo into the food. So if the baby had any pathogen,
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Happy holidays.
Okay, happy Christmas.
Same to you.
Complimented this year.
Same to you. What's the
Wait,
name?
Yeah, my name is Victor, calling from Angopa last week.
Okay, Victor. So let's hear you.
Yeah, about the topic this morning, so safety, food safety.
Hmm.
So actually, I'm someone that I don't like buying food everywhere on the street. I have a particular joint or a particular space that I
Okay.
do go to my food.
Hmm.
And then because I'm also a chef, because if one thing about
Okay, let me just ask you, Victor. Do you observe food safety? Do you try your best to make sure you prepare clean food? Because lots of calls are coming in. Do you try your best to observe food safety?
sure, I always try my best.
All
I
right
always,
then.
I
All
always
right.
try my best.
That's good to hear. Let's hear from this. Hello, good morning. Okay. All right. So a message came in and said, okay. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, ma.
Good morning to you. Hello. Okay, so this message says, "My name is Bob Imekan from Port Harcourt, and I want to appreciate Mr. NM for the awareness." Okay. How long can leftovers be safely stored in the I said, but I have questions. Number one, how long can leftovers be safely stored in the refrigerator? How can cross contamination be prevented? And he asks, how long can perishable foods be left out at room temperature? He's
Okay.
asking like an expert. Like,
Okay, so
yeah.
I'll start. He's an officer. Okay, so now I'll start from the third one. Room temperature food shouldn't be past 2 hours room temperature. 2 hours you put it back in the fridge. If it's up to 4 hours, you can't get into the fridge again. You have to heat it and eat it. If it's past that, you trash it. So, and before you do that, you just use of all the senses. Is it smelling bad? You trash. Is it as a color change? You trash. Is it not? Is not looking like normal food? You trash. So 2 hours is the recommended rule. 2 hour rule to keep food at room temperature. Back to the second question was
How can cross
be
contamination
prevent.
be
Okay, yeah,
prevented?
cross contamination. I'll take it from, let's say I have one freezer in the house and I need to store. I need to store my beef and my chicken, and I have other things that I don't need them to get in contact with it. So I shouldn't put the beef or the proteins or the raw protein on top. If I put them on top, it will be dripping the fluid and touch other things down. So I should put my veggies or other things up while I put those other ones that has fluid that can cross contaminate down.
So what if you don't have fridge? What's the practice?
If I don't have fridge, the best way for protein is just cook them. Cook them, and when you want to use, you recook them again. So cooking is the best way to preserve something. Some you can dry, some you can salt, but in most cases, cooking will sort it. And also, even people that have freezers, they may not have enough light. So
That's another factor.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you can preservation. It is an issue even in individual houses and in companies.
So for the sake of time now, we're running out of time. We'll have to wrap it up in about 5 minutes. So I asked about some challenges in your practice when it comes to awareness, because it's important. We can't
it
keep
is.
eating.
It is. Okay, so one of the challenges is, let me say, you want to help educate people about food safety, and these people that are not so learned, most people that are doing, there are some very experienced and intelligent chefs. There are some medical doctors that are now chefs. So, and there are some people that are not well read, but are to produce food, or some are kitchen assistants, and you are to be health educating them. The challenge might be, before you came here, I've been doing this food. I've been doing this food before they born you, and nobody died. And you're telling me all of these English, waiting they happen, nobody will die. Forget that thing. No, but James don't kill Africa. We've been doing this because for some reason they've been doing. And as Bukola said, people's immunity are quite different. I can eat this and nothing is wrong with me. Some other person will eat the same food that was handled poorly, and the person might be in the ER. So,
but then, if we've not seen any, collateral damage, should we be concerned? If we've not seen any case of death, like that's what a lot of people.
We really should be concerned. There are some. Okay, one problem with Nigeria is deaths sometimes may not be recorded very properly. Because why? Because most people may die without going to the hospital, and even some, when they go, they don't record the cause of death very well. Health information people will understand that very well. So in most countries, causes of death are recorded, so that this will use as a as statistics to tell people this. People personally, I know close people that pass from food poisoning. It happens.
You know people that died from it.
Yes,
Wow.
it is that dangerous. I know this person came all the way. This is a family person. Came all the way from Port Harcourt to exactly. So now I was fine. Went to greet it overnight. He couldn't make it. Yes,
and didn't wake up.
It is that bad that you're passing all the fluid out now, puking, and there was nothing to control it. When the fluid is gone, nothing is left. So the person had gotten to the point of getting weak, and the fluid was exhausted, and that was it. So yeah.
Yeah.
So it can be really bad. So
okay. Yeah. Okay. You wanted to say something?
Yeah. So that can be an issue, and also lack of resources as well. Like I'm saying this in a bigger firm, we are trying to make food safety, and the firm doesn't have all what you need to ensure food safety. That as well can also be a challenge, and a general challenge again can be now to the government. People my senior colleagues in environmental health, that's their responsibility. Some still do. They go around to help sensitize,
Sensitize people.
oh my word, where's my English? To inform
It
and
happens.
educate people. Let me leave that one. That one want to form my hand. So now they want to go and educate and tell people about it. So if they do that enough, like the people that are illiterate, as you said, they'll be informed. People
I
selling
didn't
food.
say anyone was illiterate though. Okay, is that the
Sorry,
word? Is that the
sorry,
word?
I
No,
used
yeah,
the wrong
but in
word. Like
reality, that didn't, yeah,
you
that
were
may not
asking Bukola,
know
what if the
how to
person is
read.
not exactly? So
Exactly.
I was yeah.
Some literates might not know how to read.
So now, so if they go around telling people like
Yeah.
in parks, in markets, they still do, but maybe not so frequent. They go telling people about it. The information will be out there, and people will
Yeah.
be more aware. So yeah, people will really know how to do this thing very well. Say, okay, I need to cover my food well. I need to cook to this temperature. I don't need to. I must wash my hands after using the toilet. After sneezing, I must.
Okay.
If I'm sick, I shouldn't prepare food for people and all of that.
And all of that.
Yeah.
All right, Bukola, back to you. Let's talk about alternatives now. We talked about street food, and so what's the alternative for the vendor and for the buyer? If because a lot of people discourage buying on the roadside because, like, for the reasons we mentioned, if the vendor has a toddler or a newborn baby, just be rest assured that you likely be eating poops and urine, and that might not be the case, but
For
then
everybody,
it's
yes.
but then the chances are high. So now, what would be the alternative? Because Inem started out with some challenges as regards food safety, and so let's profess some solutions just as we wrap it up. In wake of the festive season, of course.
So I think there's actually no, if a food is bad, it's bad. So you don't have to look for a way to make it look good. So the alternative is just be sure that you're patronizing a vendor that is reliable, and you should also be sure that your vendor is having your good at heart. That means they're not just all after the money. They're also after your health, because they know if you buy today, you're not stealing, then you'll come tomorrow, or you're not having a kind of even this is, then you're coming tomorrow. So alternative is just make sure that you're patronizing the vendor that restaurant that up to it. Those who are certified, and for your friend, you just make sure that your friend is also aware of good hygiene practice while cooking. Even if you're going to go into someone's house, you're going or your friend's house to visit, you should be sure that the environment is clean, is safe, and whatever is coming out from this environment is safe too, good for consumption. So I think that's just the alternative. Just make sure that the environment looks like an environment that can provide food.
All right then. Abde Bukola Ayodele, thank you so much for your time on Spotlight this morning. She is a Food Safety System Certification Auditor. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right then. So just before I wrap it up with Mr. Inem in the studio, how about eating in one place, not eating everywhere? Does that increase food safety for someone? If you have to eat out and you just pick a particular vendor, and this applies to everything.
But we are not trees. We move from Lagos. Even in Lagos, we move from Alagbole to Ibeju one day. So you need to buy food there. You move from Ibeju to Yanokbaja. But even when you're buying from one place, truth is, that one place can do food that is not as wholesome as it was the other day, and you don't really have control over it. So it is on them to ensure that they are consistent in making food. The environment should be top notch. The person doing the food, because they can really make the food go bad, top notch. The food itself, the process where you purchase from their suppliers, the vendors, they should ensure that they too their food safety compliance. Yeah, so that should really be given consideration.
All right, your final thoughts in 30 seconds. The clock.
My final thought, as we are eating, let's eat safe. Ensure that if it's smelling bad, don't eat. If it's not looking like a good food, don't eat. And also ensure to eat only hot food. Don't just eat to serve to prevent starvation. Eat to be alive. Yeah.
Those safeguards and then now
Exactly.
cook
So
food.
as I do, as
Yeah.
I like this word, food can be the safest medication, and it can as well be the worst poison.
The was poison.
Exactly.
All right, then that's it on Spotlight this morning. We looked at ensuring food safety during the festive season. Remember, cleanliness is next to godliness, right? That's the saying. So you're godly, then keep it clean. All right, keep your food clean. Take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of the holidays. All right, I'll be back here when I am back here. Now I'm going to finesse.